Hey, once again, this is Brother Teacher. I just want to tell you uh, what I believe to be some of the key reasons that we die. I did say that. I said die. It's always been an interesting thing to me how we are very happy when a life comes into the world. And as that life begins to develop, that boy or girl, and as they develop and grow, they become an adolescent, a preteen, a teenager, a young adult, and so forth. And when we hit middle age, we never want to face the other reality of the certainty that we're all going to leave here one day. In other words, our physical existence is physical and it's temporary. So, really, that's something to sincerely think about. Not necessarily worry about, but give some very strong consideration to why we are here and what should we be offering while we are here in the land of the living. In other words, what our true purpose is. Now, I believe that we all have a fundamental purpose that's universal, but I also believe that we all have individual purposes as well. So you can leave in the comment section below what you believe your purpose on earth is, or even if you believe you have a purpose or not. Um, Here are, I believe, 11 or 12 causes of death that's pretty common. Now, I will say this, I don't have them in any particular order. They're not based on any particular statistics, but they are, in fact, the truth. And some of them are actually interrelated, closely related. And I begin the one that I'm starting with as to how men or mankind dies is murder. That is when another man or woman takes the life of another. That's one way that we die. That's tragic, can be tragic. It's unfortunate that we have the type of society and or environment where people will take another life without any remorse, without any consideration, oftentimes. And sometimes it's done out of the act of passion, but it's murder just the same. And I'll leave it there. Another one that I believe is just as sad is when a man or a woman or even a child takes their own life. That's another very tragic situation. When someone believes that they have no reason for living and that whatever their problems may be, that they are so paramount that they can't fathom the problems, that they can't cope with the problems, that they're just simply overwhelmed by the issues and the circumstances that they're faced with, and they have to take their lives in their mind. That is truly tragic. But it occurs every single day somewhere. The next one that I want to say, and I'm going to say this as I go along, the things that we can control in terms of our untimely demise, if you will. The first one that I mentioned, which was murder, we don't know oftentimes uh, how we're going to leave here. An individual can take our life, just like that, and we're gone. So it's usually not something that we are aware of and have no control over. So as I progress through this list, and I'll be done in a second, I'm going to point out the ones that I believe that we control or can control. And the second one that I gave, uh, of course, you can control you killing yourself or taking your own life. That's suicide. So that's something within your power. The next one I'm going to point out is going to be kidney disease. Kidney disease is another one of those things that has taken many lives, millions of lives. And for the most part, we can control kidney disease. I'm not talking about uh, pre existing circumstances as it relates to this or any other one that I'm about to mention in a second. Uh, there, in most instances, most of the ones that I have left on this list, we control. We just absolutely control. And kidney disease, for the most part, is one of those. And it can be controlled by diet, eating the proper foods, eating real food, organic food, and eliminating toxic foods. The next one is diabetes. An imbalance in your blood glucose levels or your sugar, that's something that we can control as well through diet. Accidents, that's sort of tricky. They're what people label as accidents that are caused by the people who were in the accidents that could have been avoided. And there are accidents that you can't control or had no control over. For example, you're walking down the street and you slip and fall on the ground and break your neck. One. Or you're crossing the street and you get hit by a bus by not paying attention, and the bus is well within its right, or the driver that is, and they have the right of way, and you step out into the street not paying attention. That's an accident. You didn't pay attention, but it can be considered as an accident, and you can lose your life that way by not paying attention. Not necessarily the bus scenario, but any scenario similar to that where you're not paying attention. So that's something that can be controlled in some instances and others not. Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's, uh, also referred to as a form of dementia or short-term memory loss. And something very much or very closely related to Alzheimer's is also Parkinson's disease, and then some neuromuscular issues with Parkinson's and that. But I believe that both of those conditions and or diseases can be controlled with proper diet and with the elimination of a lot of the things that we put in our foods that we all consume as Americans and just people in general. Strokes, same thing. Strokes can be uh, avoided, and I'll touch on heart disease because they both are sort of interrelated. A lot of times it's a matter of hypertension, atherosclerosis, clogged arteries, improper diet, eating the wrong things, trans fats, uh, dairy products, excess animal flesh and protein, these things, and sugar, refined foods that clog up our arteries and narrow the passageways so that we can't get blood to those vital organs. and to the brain and so forth. So we end up with heart disease uh, and stroke as a result. Still have to do with diet. Lung disease. Lung disease, it's another thing that in many instances, especially in America, that can be controlled. There's some things, there's always going to be those uh, not remote, but those isolated incidents and rare occasions where people receive uh, diseases as a result of just circumstances that they can't control. But for the most part, lung disease is the result or direct result of people that smoke cigarettes, cigars, tobacco products, and even chewing tobacco. Uh, that can cause mouth cancer, chewing tobacco that is, and smoking, of course, can cause lung cancer. And I have had family members and very close friends of mine die uh, from lung cancer as a result of being very uh, habitual cigarette smokers. So I know that to be a fact. Stop smoking, you won't have that issue. Now, I have just a couple left. Cancer. Cancer is can be a broad term. It's general, but a lot of the things that I just mentioned could be considered cancer. Uh, Lung disease, heart disease. Um, Anytime you have your immune system compromised, it becomes diseased, not at ease, in other words. So when we become unhealthy, it is for two reasons for the most part when we're talking medically. And I've said it before and I'm saying it again. It is toxins in the human body that cause disease. It's number one. And the other one is malnutrition, not getting the things that our body needs to grow, to repair itself, to stay healthy and vibrant. When we don't have the proper food supply for our bodies, the necessary amino acids, protein, vitamins, and minerals, and pure water, and oxygen, and so forth, our body is going to suffer disease. It's that simple. And when we don't have those things that I just mentioned, those staples of life, then apparently we have those other things in our bodies, those chemicals, those toxins that come from the air that we breathe, the water supply, the adulterated food that we find in our supermarkets nowadays because they want to keep the food on the shelves much longer so that they can sell their product because they care less about human life and more about profit. That's it. So we're going to end up with cancer in some form or another. So I have one more on this list that many people never think of as a common cause of death. Once upon a time, it used to be that one of the number one or leading causes of death in America was heart disease and diabetes and cancer. But they've had to take the back seat to this one that I'm about to mention to you now, and that's none other than death by doctor. You can look it up. You will find that research has been done and it has been established that more people nowadays, at least over the past 5 years, have been dying because of misdiagnosis by doctors. They're dying from pharmaceutical drug prescriptions that take them out of here right now, or because of the side effects associated with many of the medications that they've been prescribed, or being prescribed the wrong medications. And even surgery has taken many lives. Once upon a time, there were so many lawsuits against the medical industry. I believe they enacted some sort of law that people cannot sue the medical institutions and industry as they could 30 years ago because of the influx of lawsuits. But it does not change the fact that we're being taken out of here. We're being killed by the people that are supposed to be helping us to maintain a healthy life. Am I saying that doctors are quacks? No. Am I saying that doctors are not needed? No. I'm saying that they're needed, but they're not needed to govern and control our life, our existence, from the day that we're born to the day that we die. We share some of that responsibility because it is our bodies. We are supposed to take care of us. And if we need any assistance, that is when we lean towards the medical profession. Only in dire situations, but not as a standard of care, a standard of life. Please don't misconstrue what I just said because I speak pretty good English. For the most part, we control this. You control your own body, you control your own life, then you need to take care of your own affairs. Physically, monetarily, economically, socially, it's your job, not someone else's. And once you realize that the ball is in your court, hopefully you will take it to heart and say, I'm independent. I'm my own person. I'm my own man or woman. And I don't need anyone else to tell me that, I have indigestion and I'm going to prescribe this for you. As opposed to me going back to the beginning and saying, well, what did I eat? Maybe I need to stop eating that. Maybe I need to find out what's causing my issues and or my ills, and then I be the person that solves or resolves my own issues before I have my insurance company billed for something that I could have controlled in the first place. It's really that simple. So death by doctor, if I were to label any of these things that I just mentioned as the number one cause of death, medically that is, it would be death by doctor. So are you your doctor today? I use that word sort of loosely, doctor. Are you the caretaker of your own life? Is what I should say. Do you control your own life, your own existence? Or does someone else? I just wanted to point those things out just to give you something to think about, because oftentimes we live our lives in sort of a nonchalant manner or fashion, and we sort of just cruising, never giving some of the things that are really important in life any consideration. We don't think about it. It's not until you hear something like this and you say, well, man, I never thought about how people die. Maybe I need to work on that one particular issue because I'm having lung problems. I'm on some form of medication, or I'm having heart problems, or I'm having kidney problems. Maybe I need to do something about it myself, as opposed to having someone stick a needle in me on a regular basis, as opposed to someone suggesting or prescribing surgery when I probably, in fact, don't need surgery. All I need to do is modify my lifestyle and my diet, and even exercise, and even rest more. Maybe cut down some shifts on my job so I'm not as stressed. Maybe move all of the other stressors out of my life, the emotional stressors from people that are always causing me distress. I'm sorry about the phone, but I'm sure you get the gist of what I was saying. Take charge of your life. We should all take charge of our own lives. And God forbid that we ever have the notion or the thought to take our lives. I pray that we don't do that. And God forbid that someone takes our lives. That would be an unfortunate incident as well. But all of the other things that I mentioned, we have control over for the most part. So why not take control of that which is yours? And this belongs to me, and yours belong to you. It's yours. Why are you giving someone else charge over it? That's all I had to say. I'm out.